You know why I really cannot stand Angela Rayner or Starmer and Labour? The reality of what actually is happening in society, I don't think Labour actually are telling the truth about or really understand it. I mean, you actually end up having to fall out with people over it to actually get to the truth. And I think the thing with Labour is, Starmer's got this. The thing with Labour is their new Chancellor of the Exchequer. The whole Labour, this Starmer Labour at least, and definitely the Welsh Labour that have been the Welsh Labour party in the Welsh government, and now this new kind of youth sort of entry level they've got with Ken Skates and these other younger MPs coming through. They put this kind of sensible or status quo normal image out slightly, not like morning TV or GB News or Talk TV, which is slightly more newspaper, more kind of yuppie, flamboyant newspaper, morning TV shows. But Labour are going for that. They're pitching in that direction, but as if they're kind of really sensible, like Crown prosecutors, really serious, really sensible, supposedly people you can trust, but you can't because the Crown Prosecution Service lie a lot. But they've got this kind of like almost, it is kind of a little bit like the post office, but the thing with the post office is it's not public owned anymore. It's been taken over by corporate entities, foreign European corporate entities, and all the policies have changed. All the website click and drop, all the prices have gone up ridiculously high, and they're claiming, they're claiming that it's improved and they've got all this new technology and scanning and so forth, but I don't think it actually has. We're getting charged a lot more. All the framework's a lot more rigid. There's less rights and freedom to type in what you want on the websites. It's all kind of like trying to be sort of automated, but still trying to retain some sort of supposed status quo, postman Pat, post office sort of image. In a way, the CPS are kind of got that. You see, Starmer as, I think that the sensible women in the Labour Party, the plain women, the normal women from society who might not necessarily be, from the poorest areas, but what we class as kind of like normal average people, but not necessarily extravagant, flamboyant, or yuppies, right? I think they're trying to make out that they're representing normality, or wherever they're wanting to take normality in, the direction they want to take normality in, particularly with all this new woke culture, that they've kind of adopted this woke culture. But I think a lot of this woke culture is more policy driven, and it's almost like the post office being taken over by corporate entities, and they're slowly sneaking in all this fixed policy and control, and you don't even get to use the law or the rights. That they're claiming that they're overriding a lot of the laws and regulations and rules. A lot of these companies, slowly but surely, which is kind of what Labour are pushing through to trying to override our rights. Even though Starmer's going to be being a human rights lawyer as well, I haven't seen him actually do much for human rights, really. But another thing about the Labour Party is this: Rayner, she's got a large number of children. I don't think that it is a good idea to have a model for your party, a deputy head leader who's representing having too many children or having too large families, and kind of being proud of it and making a point of it. The whole style and image of the name, it's almost like, I said that Coronation Street were really a flagship of the Labour Party, a psychological reinforcement for Labour, kind of loyalist, royalist, working class. The whole thing about Coronation Street, from the theme tune to the characters, the whole lot, has been a driving force behind the Labour Party for sure, without question. They just had Gail leave Coronation Street, one of the long-standing characters in Coronation Street, who's been there, I think, more or less from the start, right? Just when the Tories concede, they got Gail Bradbrook in Extinction Rebellion, who literally, the Labour Party and Tories blew their political party away, the Burning Pink Party, which was with Roger Hallam, because they all got dubbed in by the newspapers and had to give up. It's almost like, they blew Gail away politically, but Gail left the Coronation Street. Gail Bradbrook has been blown away in her party, but yet, in a way, I think it's meant to symbolise, in my opinion, that Angela Rayner is, blown Gail away because, apparently Rayner is more Labour than, Coronation Street could ever be, There's definitely something in that. There's some truth in that. And I think that, I don't think that it's good for this country having Angela Rayner, no matter how much they like her in Ashton Line and Manchester, as a flagship of the Labour Party with Starmer, because it isn't good having, really more than 2 children. People shouldn't be having all these children and needing to build more and more and more houses. I know a hell of a lot of people who have just had kids, been with their partners, then they split up with them, then they meet a new partner, then they have kids with them, and possibly even happens again. And they're still doing it now to a large extent. It's basically failed relationships. And it's kind of like mistake after mistake after mistake, but you're not allowed to talk about it. You can't say anything about it, or, you'll end up falling out with them or something if you're telling them how they should live or what they should do. And in a way, I think the Labour Party like this, that they're kind of flagshipping it, yet at the same time, they've got these sensible people, like supposedly, the new Chancellor woman, who is supposedly, we're going to, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to fix the country. This is the way forward. This is going to be the new normal. But I don't think it is. And I don't really think it's necessarily that much to do with rich or poor. I don't think the new Labour Party actually are really going to help poor people. Because a lot of the new houses, even if then when they say they're going to build more council houses and affordable homes, they're not actually that affordable. The houses that they let build that aren't council houses, and the ones that are meant to be council houses, who's making the money out of them? Why don't they do a project to do up houses, or to get people travelling? And, Labour are meant to be all about education. Why aren't they getting people to experience a bit of life, see the world, and get some experience? The thing is that a lot of these Labour Party children who, even if they learn to drive and get a cheap car, although I don't think anyone's going to be able to afford to drive soon by the way they're going and all the electric vehicles, all they seem to be pitching to the youth, besides selling them products, selling them movies, selling them offers and things like that, all the young people who used to, or who are still hanging around in cars, or, they try to get them off the streets, that all they seem to do is want to offer them holidays, or win a holiday here or win a holiday there to get away from here. Why would you want to get away from here? Because apparently, they supposedly they don't have, families that they want, or houses that they want, or can't afford to do anything they want. So they're always offering this dream of going abroad. Apparently, they can't wait to get away from here. This is what commercial radio is pushing on them as well. Why aren't the Labour Party, if they're so keen to go on holidays or abroad, why aren't they doing loads of education and training, projects overseas, to get some experience and go to nice places and do different things rather than being stuck in whatever it is, the Welsh valleys or wherever, or in small houses where there's not enough room for all of the families in there. And then they won't be actually having all these children and so forth. That's why I don't like the Rayner model and the Rayner values, which are basically, pedal to the metal, just, bang out babies, get them in the factories, get them making things. A lot of these factories are making things that we don't really want or need, or, glitter glue or whatever it is, There's an endless list of things that they're making that we don't need. A lot of the foods that are the wrong type of foods, packaging, a lot of things. But yeah, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been talking about inflation and the fact that we've been conned by Trump and all the elite, and the inflation's a con, right? And they've sucked all the money out of us all, and they've made all the money. Who's going to be the ones what companies are going to be building all these council houses, even if they're, even these affordable homes that aren't council houses, that aren't affordable? All of the groups that have been opposing housing or trying to protect Greenbelt, they've been showing us all these houses that they've built, and they're not affordable to anyone except people who kind of support Starmer, play by the rules, rise up perfectly and have a family. The ones who probably aren't having too many families or, too many partners and messing up, the ones who are doing it, apparently to the Labour rule book, they're who the houses are actually for, and then all these council houses, why do you need, people who can't afford homes are usually the ones who are having more of a failed relationship and having too many children. But, our Labour think, our Labour's saying, we're going to make a law up so you can't have more than 2 children, no. Everything, progress in technology. Sunak is like, I want to keep Britain at the forefront of technology, at the forefront of progress. You don't actually need to be building everywhere like Billio to do that. All you need is people who are continuing to pursue an education. Another thing with Starmer and the Labour Party is they're not philosophers. They're not known for intelligence or thinking. I think they might be skilled, or Keir Starmer says, highly skilled. They might be able to make things and do things, but they're not. The Labour Party are definitely not known for being philosophers or thinkers and thinking things through before they do it. Having more innovative ideas. I think they want to innovate just by the fact of having a new department of innovation and doing tech and so forth. I don't think the tech is necessarily going to save people. It hasn't done in the past. And what's happened with MP3s and digital smartphones is that you have a smartphone, it lasts for longer. You actually don't need to produce all these vinyl records, cassette box, DVDs, all those physical things that were being actually manufactured by a labour force. You don't really need to make any more en masse because everything's just on a digital file, which isn't a physical thing. Now, the way that technology is going like that in more areas of production, you're needing less and less things manufactured and so forth. So, and the only things that they seem to be building are more and more jet engine plane factories, cheap clothing companies, things like that. If clothes were made to a good quality and to a good standard, and they weren't ruined in the wash, you wouldn't actually need to buy clothes that often either, and you would have nicer clothes, not necessarily knocking out cheaper clothes. And there's something that figures in definitely with this immigration as well. I definitely am an advocate of the war being forced on us and part of a strategic movement of people being ushered into the country, and they definitely haven't made an effort to try and stop it. They're definitely doing a pincer move, a plan on us, a strategy on us. This housing thing, all these young men who are coming over. If you look at Stop ULEZ, when you've got Claire Dyer Claire Diary's, she's got a partner, but they had that young foreign, bodybuilder guy with a stop ULEZ, who was protecting the cameras, rocking up and down. He's definitely an advert for getting English women from the Labour class to be attracted to, young foreign people. It's almost like Sadiq Khan has almost kind of like deployed him as some kind of Romeo or Roman soldier. There's something in that going on as well with all this immigration, and they're saying that there are a lot of young males as well. There's cars. Well, Labour's saying they want to cut down on, transport as much with private transport, but I've never heard as many cars go past. Now it's like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Even around the town, even when you was in and around the town or in the urban areas just around the edges of the town, never at 3, 4, 5 in the morning would you get that many cars coming past. It would be dead. There might be the odd car coming past, because that's when they used to say, oh, there's no one around, if something happens at night, at midnight in these urban areas, there's no one around. Now, there's like cars 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Where are they? Where are these people going? Who are they? Where they come from? They're clearly doing night shifts or going to work or coming from work. And they're going to all these new industrial estates they're building. And they're producing things, overproducing things, or making aeroplane engines or cheap clothing or whatever it is. And a lot of them that I've seen when they stopped, I'm like, who are these people? I've been like, I went out to have a look, and like a lot of them are foreign people with foreign accents, and some of them don't even speak English, and they're driving like 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning all the way through the night. They're clearly on night shift. They haven't been in the country for long if they can't speak English properly, but they've got a car, they've got a driving license, which is more than what I've got now, and they're doing these shift work. I don't like this plan and the way it's going, because it's getting more noisy. There's no peace. They're putting They've got low-flying aircraft flights all over the place now. The crime's through the roof, but the police aren't solving as many crimes. They're getting more money out of just fining us. Because whether it's speeding fines or ULEZ fines, which a lot of them have broke the law and they're illegal. Tony Blair, one of the supposedly legendary Labour Party leaders, he's definitely broke the law, because he's designed the new sentencing guidance to actually offer favours for justice, which it don't matter how much you change the law. They didn't change the oath. The oath of the judge is independent from any legislation. He says that you can't do favours. So if you've got a judge who isn't allowed to do anyone any favours, and then in the legislation, they do favours if you confess or give information, you've actually made the law so it's contradictive, and actually you've set the justices up to commit crime, just like you're setting up drivers to speed when you've got a road that flows fast naturally. It's made to go that fast, but then you put a lower speed limit and you're obviously going to go past it too fast, because it carries you that way, particularly when it's quiet, and even when the road signs are misleading and illegal as well. And then Blair's this whole thing with the congestion charge against the Liberty of London and the King's Peace, the Watling Street A5, and then Khan's just, I don't think Khan, trying to be, just without trying to not have prejudice, right? Khan is meant to symbolise, as adopting and absorbing in different cultures and different, religions and races, and the fact that they can achieve, be welcomed into society, reach high levels like the Mayor of London, and be electable and participate in democracy. But he's breaking the law. And I don't think that he cares about the actual law. It's like, the thing with Sadiq Khan is, it's like, he wants to be accepted as British and eradicate racism, and, we're not, we don't want any racism anymore, or any, prejudice or whatever. But it's kind of like he's like, oh, now I'm English and now I'm the mayor of London. We're going to make some changes around here, and it's almost like, right, well, this is not the social norm anymore. This is not acceptable behaviour anymore. These are not the ancient customs and privileges of England. It's almost kind of like he's like, well, I think the thing with people like, like Chris Eubank, the boxer. The thing with Chris Eubank, when it was, he was kind of like, he had this sort of like proud of being British. Chris Eubank, he was very kind of like honoured and proud to be British and accepted as a British citizen, and respected. Because he always used to say, respect, respect. That was one of his main words, respect, right? He wanted to be respected, but he also respected the country, the style, the fashion, and the whole thing with being English. I don't think Khan does. I think Khan wants to be respected himself, but he doesn't respect the nation of what he has become part of. He wants to, in a way, he wants to completely change it. He wants to rewrite history. He wants to change the culture. He wants to change the identity of the country and all of the values. He wants to change the values. Then it's not actually that thing anymore. It's actually, and the thing with things like the 1700 Act of Settlement, if you've got a nation and it is something, an identity, the whole thing about, India or Australia, South America, South Africa, all this thing is accepting, adopting, and liking all these cultures. They've got an identity, and actually they stood to protect their identity. A lot. This is why there's all this war in the Middle East and Putin and Russia. Even Putin, is white. They want to protect their traditions, their customs, their history, their identity. That's a main thing about Russia, really. I suppose why Putin has got his position. But now Starmer, and I think Sunak as well, they just want it gone because all of those rights and traditions are an obstruction to their plans. They're an obstruction to the oligarchy, to the policies, to the elite, to how they want to take the status quo, to people's attitudes and so forth. And a lot of the attitudes have been changed because we are changing. And then we've got this influx of immigration and so forth. England's not, Sunday, the day of rest, quiet, peace. I mean, what's their solution to that? Have another factory, manufacture soundproofing, get it in the new council houses, have soundproofing. So then the new future is going to be what? You don't hear cars driving past, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning non-stop. So you've got quiet, but how can you hear anyone outside, or if anyone needs help in the middle of the night outside, or someone screams, or even an owl, listen to owls or wood pigeons, or the wind, or the rain. When it rains now, I can't even listen to the raindrops. I can't even at night time when it's raining. Right, I used to be able to listen to the rain, and it almost was soothing or relaxing, or the thunder, or whatever. Now it's this drone of cars and vehicles passing, and even if there's not one passing, it's like the hum of it. But we're in the countryside. What's the solution? Oh, well, we're going to stop everyone having private cars and make them pay per mile. Well, how are they going to get to work? On the bus, or how are they going to get to work? Oh, bikes. But the reason why cars are coming here is because they built bike lanes on another road, and no one wants to drive on that road anymore, so they all come on this other road. And then they're rechanging the old layout of the street. I like what's wrong with the street and the layout. I think if they could, they'd actually get rid of the road, and it would be almost like, these cycle paths they have in Milton Keynes, a completely different design where you've got all these walkways and cycle paths that aren't part of the main road. They've got a lot of these in Germany. Germany has got a lot of these. They call them cycleways, which are through the countryside to get from one place to another, where there aren't even any cars. There are all these cycleways. I mean, what's Starmer going to do? Turf the road. What's he going to do? Change the road into grass. And have new back lane cycleways. A lot of this needs discussion and thinking and talking about, but I don't. They're not. You don't get in Prime Minister's questions. Apparently the first Prime Minister's questions with Sunak, it was like a wet lettuce. There was no challenge, no discussion. In Prime Minister's questions, I mean, Nigel Farage didn't even get picked out by the Speaker. For any questions or answers. They don't discuss any of this. You get this superficial sparring, which is to evade being liable, so then they can get things through, sneak things through government. No one's talking about it. No one's voting about individual matters. Labour might have won a lot of votes when it got elected, but we need a country where if they're going to make serious changes on things like building and planning, I don't think it should be voted by the ministers. The ministers are there to talk about it, debate it and discuss it, work in government, right? And to do the writing and put things through and to implement things. I think we should be voting on these things now, not Keir Starmer and this Chancellor Post Office woman or, baby machine Rayner, bunny boiler Rayner, who is the model of bunny boiling. Literally, you can't make babies fast enough, and then you get them making more and more glitter glue and widgets when she's going around the schools, talking to the kids. Anyone, I don't praise Rayner for going to primary schools and as cameraman turning up and taking photos. There are loads of people who can go do a PR, school. We used to have, PC Allen go there in front of the Assembly Hall and tell children scary stories about, how people's eyeballs got taken out on car aerial and so forth. That was apparently, the local community policeman going doing schools. If they went and did those talks at school now, it actually probably, if someone went to a school now with young kids and told them go tell stories like that, I think that they'd probably get the police, never mind the police giving the talk. I don't like this whole commercial takeover of all our, water, electricity, phone, all these things. It's all aiming, and a lot of the messages and the AI and the voices we've got on the phone systems aren't very nice either. Some of them are really quite upsetting and distressing. It's all meant to be geared towards having less humans and less staff. If they want less humans and less staff at BT, at the water board, at the electric company, it seems to me like they're trying to get rid of staff. They're trying to get rid of staff working at all of the bigger companies like eBay, and it's all automated. Why does Rayner need to bang babies out for it? And why do they need to have a population boom into Labour housing? Are these people just going to be Keir Starmer's new managers, new executives for all these companies that are going to be operated by machines and robots? I think that what Labour are planning to do is that the only reason the Tories failed is because they made a big mess up, right? And the only people that Tories helped out is themselves, a small number of people. Like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been saying with this inflation, which is a con, which is why everyone's poor and not being able to afford housing or even do the houses up, right? Or even go on holidays or even, buy a house abroad or whatever. You have to buy a house here, Yeah. Now Labour are going to create basically their own party. Labour are now set up that they're like, wow, now we can actually build, rather than, the Tories would build a conservatory onto the house to make the house bigger. Now that's not on the agenda. They're not like getting everyone to get rid of their mould or make the house warm or insulate it or do up the property and make it look nice, or even do the neighbourhood up or regenerate the streets or neighbourhood. They're actually wanting to build new houses. the builds that they're doing aren't very nice. They're not that decent. They go into somewhere where they can, build land, right, in the countryside. It might even be a nice, beautiful place. And instead of enhancing that place or even building some nice, beautiful places in that place or around that place, what they're doing is, for as cheap as possible, they're still just building naff stuff, but it's just not as naff as the stuff that they built in previous years, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's still naff. This is the thing, they're still rushing into it. They don't want to think about it or talk about it. Then this is the thing. They're not philosophers, they're not thinkers, they're just doers, practical. And that is really why it is a mess, the things that they made and built in previous times, because they don't want to talk about it in Prime Minister's questions. Sadiq Khan don't want to talk about, here I am, Sadiq Khan, with the new Home Secretary. We're going to put our heads together and think of all the problems, but, okay, then why don't you, get some people in questions and answers, and we'll go through the problems in great detail. Sadiq don't want to answer the questions. It's all, it's not, it's just a con. They're just bluffing the whole way through. I don't think they know what they're doing. I think Starmer thinks that he does, but it's like the Crown Prosecution Service, right? All right, we'll convict some more people, we'll get some more prosecutions, we'll get more cameras, identify more crime, get more people prosecuted, get them through the prisons, get them on community service, more of the same, basically. But, and now we've got more crime. Now we can have more prosecutions with more cameras, rather than, how can we solve this crime? What are the problems? Maybe that he thinks that because people haven't got houses, but I don't think that is the real reason. And it seems to me like it's high up on the agenda, all these immigration people now getting houses and being put in homes, which is if that ain't strategically planned, then someone's lying. If it ain't strategically planned through overseas affairs with wars, Boris Johnson wanted to do this whole NATO thing with the Ukraine and America. They've done this war. They wanted to go encroach on Putin's territory, rather than saying, hey, this is the thing, right? What they've done, and we know they've done this with that NATO base in Ukraine and messing around with Putin. That started the war. It's got loads of immigration, and they've ended up getting loads of people over here into this country, right? And saying because it's due to war, right? And now apparently we've got to, nurture and support them, and build them loads of houses and absorb them in. Putin has got so much land in Russia, it's unbelievable. Rather than putting a military base in NATO, right, in Ukraine and resulting in all this, why wasn't Trump, Biden, Boris Johnson, Grimer, Tom Johnson, Sunak with his, temperature-controlled coffee cup? Why wasn't he temperature-controlling Putin? Why wasn't Sunak going over and meeting with Putin, greasing up to Putin, smooth-talking Putin? Why wasn't Johnson over in Russia talking to Putin? Oh, we love your country. Why don't we have some English people over here? Why don't we, make some babies? You've got a big open country. We can come and educate them. They can learn a bit about the Russian culture. Never mind Sadiq Khan coming over here, and now I'm British mayor. Now we're going to get rid of your customs, get rid of your ancient rights and privileges, like, they're an obstruction to my new ULEZ charges. Rather than pollution in England, rather than, all this insane explosion of building everywhere and ridiculous over manufacturing, which has all gone to this inflation and made richer people richer. Where was the peace and love with Putin? Putin was starting to come around to this, European way of life, right? And it was only because of this threat of NATO when he backed down, and then he went all authoritarian again, and then a lot of Russians even left Russia, like Konstantin, who was proud of Russia. He spent a lot of time in America. He got a little bit Americanized. howdy, howdy, howdy. Now he's in Tashkent. He's not even in Russia because he didn't want to subscribe to the army. Where is the peace and love? There's something wrong with Sunak and Johnson, right? They could have, they could have been over in Russia, with Putin's, legs apart, giving him the Barrington treatment, and saying, "Oh, Putin, we love you, and we want to, come by your country." They didn't want to. It's like, they didn't want to mix two chemicals together, England and Russia, because it would be too good, explosive, and for this middle class, for people who were poorer, who could then earn money and get money and build and have nice houses and a nice lifestyle, right? And Russia has got absolutely loads of space over there. So has America. And that's why they did this inflation thing and scammed us all and ripped us all off, which is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is saying about, Trump, basically. They fleeced us all with this fake inflation, right? So that's where I am with it. And I don't know why Starmer, he prefers Davos over Westminster. He's into corporate entity takeovers, not public ownership. He didn't want to do Corbynism plans of public ownership. I think what Starmer wants to do, in my opinion, is that he wants to have this kind of carry on this pretend sensible Englishness, which supposes is woke and normal and sensible status quo, which is gradually becoming. There will be people who are, going to the universities, innovation technology centre, become more intelligent, but not too intelligent, so they know what's going on and who's running the new companies, and everything's going to be AI and only certain key workers, right? As long as Starmer can have his Ken Skates, his new Tommy Shelby gang leaders, his new key workers who are going to be the ones who excel in the universities, while the rest of the, postman Pat women, Chancellor of the Exchequers are just kind of like, "Oh, Finky, don't worry, everything's, going to plan," but they don't really, I don't think they know exactly what's going on. And then they're wiping out the rest of the, really, a lot of the working class are getting wiped out now, and then there's all those illnesses that are going around, and then we've got this immigration influx that's mixing everyone down again, taking away all the identity, and rather than Chris Eubank, who is wanting to be proud of the nation, I think Khan is proud of changing the nation. I think that's the difference between Chris Eubank and Khan. Chris Eubank wanted to be English and be proud of it. Khan wants to be proud of beating England, changing England, and taking over England. I think that's the difference with Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan wants to be proud of beating England, beating the public, taking away the identity, changing it, rather than becoming part of it and representing it. And I think that's the difference between Chris Eubank and Sadiq Khan, and why I would have Chris Eubank. Why isn't Chris Eubank the mayor of London? Why isn't Chris Eubank the mayor of London? I mean, that would be a fight for the Olympic Games, wouldn't it? Chris Eubank versus Sadiq Khan. That'd be interesting. Why haven't we got, Chris Eubank? Why is he not an MP in government? I rather have, Chris Eubank than Rishi Sunak. Chris Eubank would have made a better MP than Rishi Sunak, and probably done more for the country. I think, Chris Eubank would have done more for this country than, and all different people of different classes than Rishi Sunak, with his, all he's interested in his, remote controlled, temperature controlled coffee, So I'm not a fan of Labour. The worst, I really don't like Angela Rayner at all. I can't stand Rayner, and that's the truth. She's everything that I am not. She's a bunny boiler. She's got no self-control. She's poor, but she wants to be in gross excess. She is in gross excess. And she's not a thinker. She's not a philosopher. She's a doer. And, she will happily go around and, pose at primary schools and get photographs taken, which, anyone could do. You could get someone, you could get a Deliveroo guy, a Yodel delivery guy. If you get the right photographer and cameraman, a Deliveroo guy could turn up at a high school, with a load of new books and school apparatus, test tubes, Bunsen burners. And when he's taking them in, around the school through the corridors, saying hello to kids, you could get him shaking hands, smiling with kids, talking to the school teachers. A Deliveroo driver could get better photographs in a school than Rayner, if you got the right cameraman in there. So I don't give her any points at all whatsoever for any primary school visits or finger painting at all. It's publicity stunt. So, and Rayner stands for, having 3 kids with a girlfriend or wife, then splitting up, and then having another one and doing the same again. And then getting them making widgets, and then they can't fit in the house, and then they've got to build more council houses, and then they're still not on that much money anyway, and they must grumble. So even if they end up working in the new, one of them ends up working in the new Technology and Innovation Centre and is the next Labour brainiac, building all the AI to take away all the jobs from everyone. Hey, I'm a new Labour brainiac. I just excelled. I come from the poorest family and now I'm a AI genius in the new technology department. I've just invented a new robot factory and all the workers can be made redundant now. So what are they going to do? What are they going to earn? And, Starmer don't want them, if they're sick with all these diseases, they don't want to give them any money. Labour, I think we need people who are intelligent philosophers. And actually, watching that Hitler speech, I always wanted to know what Hitler was actually saying because I never knew what he actually said or spoke. Because it's all in German, innit? And I got a video the other day. I ended up getting around to watching it. I had it on watch later list, and I did watch it. And he's actually what Hitler was. He was speaking to the German people, and he was saying, he was asking all philosophers and deep thinkers, all these thinkers and philosophers and intelligent people, he was getting them to join his army, to actually join the army, and become he called them, he definitely called them storm soldiers or stormtroopers or something, which is a bit of a nod to that whole Tassili thing, if you're intelligent and into history and anthropology and archaeology. He called them his new stormers. Join my stormers, right? And and to rise up, but against who? So he's actually getting all the intelligent people. He was actually calling out to all the people who would usually be at home, learning, educating themselves, thinking about new utopias, new ideas, new philosophies, new ways of doing things, new innovations, ideas and intelligent things before you do them, and then debating those ideas without a rush to get it put through like Starmer. Get in, get elected, get it put through, get the stamp on it, get the post office woman to stamp it, right? Just get them babies banged out. Don't think about it. Don't think, is this really the right person for me? Before you have 3 kids with them, and then, then the next one, and another 3 kids, and I'm doing well. I'm putting myself in the next generation. I vehemently oppose Angela Rayner. She's public enemy number 1, and Starmer. Can't stand them. The post office woman chancellor is not as bad, but these are the gullible people who are misled along the way, who think they're doing good. They think they're going to help the country. They think they're going to help society. But yet, we've got, Sadiq Khan, one of their flagship Labour guys, who is breaking the law. We can't have that, can we? We can't have the postmasters, defrauding the public. Can we? Chancellor? We can't be breaking the law, be breaking the Magna Carta Liberties of London. But as the post office now has been taken over by a new overseas corporate entity with policies, forget all those old rules in public ownership. Now we know we've got the new policy from Sadiq Khan. Forget the law. Don't worry, it's okay. It's okay. It's new policy. Oh well, I don't know what to do about that. Well, don't worry. It's care's under control. It's all above board. Trust care. I don't fall for it. I don't buy it. The Labour Party need to stop and think. They need to think. And the problem with Hitler is he got all the thinkers and all the philosophers and got them to sign up to his army, his force. And at the moment in London, you've got all these anti-ULEZ protesters, all the real people of the world, all the true working class, the proper characters, the proper people of the world in London, right? And, they're actually in a war now. They're in a war with all these corporate companies, all these engineers, installation people, and a lot of them are not all of them, some of them are English, but a lot of them are taken up by ranks from immigration as well now. All these street box installers, all these contractors, all these electricity box, pole installers, tarmackers, road units, Balfour Beat Me, Care, Taylor Wimpey, all these people who want to earn a wage and do a job, they're being paid to do a wage and a job, which, ULEZ is illegal anyway, against their own people. But it's actually the working class versus the working class. In a way, it's almost kind of like Starmer versus Corbyn, I think, in a way. It is a working class war, because you've got the working class who just need a job and need some money, but the things that they're doing, they're actually going against their own people. And that's the way they're taking it, the Labour Party and the Tories now. After they've fleeced us all, you won't need to install as many boxes or as much, or need as many surveillance, because there won't be as much crime if Trump hadn't have fleeced everyone with this fake inflation. You can't even buy a £8 used jacket from America and roll it up into a small zip pouch and send it over for £8 anymore. They want 35-40 quid just to send it over from America, which is more than it's worth. Fair enough for carbon footprint, but it's those postal vehicles are going to go anyway. And that was all pushed into Amazon. It was all to help Bezos. The less you buy from eBay from people overseas, the more you buy from Bezos, and he's shipping things from overseas anyway. Why does it matter whether it's a cargo plane full of 5,000 pallets for Jeff Bezos, or a cargo plane with 5,000 pallets that are going to individual people on eBay from sellers? It's still 5,000 pallets of stuff. Why does Bezos have to make all the profit from it? I don't even think we're going to have shops left anymore. The thing with that model in America, whereby all the main streets have shut down, in LA, all the big shops, because they're just selling through Amazon or online, so there's no shop, there's no physical store that you go in and walk around and pick stuff up and look at it, and, all the homeless people are on the streets or whatever. None of those properties got used to house homeless people. I think that there are not going to be any shops left soon if it's all, Deliveroo. Are there going to be any shops left? Are people even going to go to shops? What is going to become of all the vintage or stylish period shops? Are they going to change them into houses? Or are those shops going to sell online and, keep enough money to keep their nice shop, but no one actually goes to it? No one enjoys it. No one goes into there. If all the shops in every village and town centre becomes houses, people used to go into those buildings and enjoy them, go in there and have a coffee, or go in there and meet people, talk to people. They're all private out, if if Uppingham or, Winchcombe or wherever it is, all these Cotswold villages around England, are selling online and no one goes into the shop, then you're not looking at a nice shop that's beautiful, that's nice, that you actually go in there, you speak to the person who owns it, you speak to other people in the shop, and then if that's someone's house, okay, they might, if you're lucky, they might retain the outside of it so it looks nice when you go past. But if you're not going there, then you're not going to go past it anymore. A lot of that might solve the housing crisis. If they turn all shops into houses. You know, but if they have more kids, that's going to soak up some housing. It, it's. I don't think Labour are the answer to any problem or solution of this country. Just like sticking people on community service or fining them is not going to teach them to not do crime. Then again, if they scratch your car and their punishment is to have their car scratched, is that going to teach them to not do it again? And what's the point in, usually if you're in a pub and someone says something wrong, they get a smack in the face. Maybe that, does that ever teach them to not do it again? How much do they survey that? What is the solution to teaching people, to change their behaviour? Maybe if they weren't drunk, they wouldn't have done it in the first place. And that says that alcohol was a problem. Maybe if there isn't a social divide, but, there wouldn't be envies and so forth as much. This is all to do with wealth as well, So, but what I don't like about the New Labour is that they're on this kind of more is better philosophy. Bigger house and more space is going to solve everything. Well, in America, the average family or the average people have bigger houses. Even trailer home or trailer park people in America, they've got some big trailer homes and some big trailer parks with more space, And I don't necessarily think it solved the problem. Look at California, where all the streets are super smooth. There isn't one out of place curbstone. It's all smooth, right? People ended up homeless on the streets there in LA, because they couldn't afford to buy the houses there. The shops have all closed down. They don't need to have shops because it's all selling online. There's something going on with that model. Labour are in too much of a rush. I don't think that they are thinkers at all. And the ones that are, with their innovation, Ken Skates with his, faultless, immaculate, Tommy Shelby gang, his new Welsh boyos, who, are going to solve all the problems with innovation and technology by, making it so we don't have to work. And then, what's everyone going to do? Well, we're not allowed to travel anywhere. It's pay per mile. Is it end up going to be leisure and sparring? And then we're going to have to end up being philosophers because, if you don't have a job and you've got nothing to do, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So they're going to have to end up doing some sort of philosophy. I vehemently oppose Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, and they're not the solution to the world's problems. They might think they are, they might want to be, but they're not. And I don't think that they represent the majority of the people's opinion, because if you represent the majority of the people's opinion, you got them to come out and vote for you. And remember, only 59% turned out to vote. And unfortunately, I don't think they care about that other percentage at all. They want to make life better for people who came out and voted Labour. And that's kind of like, Starmer helps those who helps themselves, or Starmer helps those who helps Labour. And if you vote against Labour, you won't get any help from Starmer. In a way, Starmer is a little bit like those families, meet a girl, have a bit of romance, have some kids, and then realise you don't quite get on with each other, like Jeremy Corbyn and Keir Starmer, or Jason Williamson and Keir Starmer, or those members of Labour who voted the wrong way. In a way, Keir Starmer it's a little bit like, getting the election, get banged up, get a couple of bunnies in the boiler, get them preggy, get a couple of Labour candidates preggy, right? Get them preggy, impregnate them into Parliament, and then, oh, this is good, we won the election, it's all going my way. Oh, they didn't vote the same way as I wanted to vote, and then you're booted out of the party. It's like Starmer, meeting a new girl, get a bunny boiled, get her knocked up, and then she didn't vote the way he wanted. Then it's all over. Angela Rayner, get some bunny boiling, Rayner. Impregnate Parliament with some Labour. Get Labour into Parliament. Look at this. Rayner's been bunny boiling. Look at all these Labour MPs. Look at this. Oh, now they're not voting the right way. Oh, get to the divorce office. This is it, Rayner's now divorced, and you'll never stand in this party again. No forgiveness around here. Then we'll have to get some more in the party. Get some more in next time. This is Labour. It's failure after failure after failure because they don't stop and think about what they're doing. They just want to do. And this is Care. Care has now got, 7 MPs impregnated into Parliament who is divorced. They'll never stand for Labour again, and he'll have another 7 MPs, and then we'll have to build an house for them. We'll probably have to have he's getting rid of the House of Lords, and we'll have to have the House of Divorced Ministers. Care can get some more housing. Let's house these ministers who are being rejected out of Starmer's party. They'll get a job in the local council, won't they, I suppose? Council houses, that allows them. But they won't be in Starmer's house anymore. They won't be in Starmer's party. They voted the other way. Another dysfunctional Labour family, and get some more kids bunny boiled. This is it. This is why I'm against Rayner and Starmer. And Post Office Lady just really hasn't got a clue. Post Office Lady wants to help, but sitting down with Sadiq Khan, who's broken the law about 20 times and wants to change the country, wipe the slate clean, wipe everything clean, wipe all the amoebas off the plankton jar, because he doesn't actually believe or represent the rights and privileges of this nation like Chris Eubank does. He just wants to beat this nation, defeat it, corporate takeover. So, no, I'm against Starmer. I'm against Rayner. They do a good talk, they do a good sell, but we see what happens if you vote the other way. If you have a bit of a lover's tiff, you're out. You're out, and you'll never stand in the house again. And they have to build you another one. And in fact, they probably won't build you another house. You can go sod it, you're going to end up, you'll never stand for them again, you can sod off, you get to the trailer park, and only the loyal voters who vote for Starmer, will get the new houses when they get rewarded for their loyalty, with their loyalty card, their Starmer loyalty card. It's tragic. If the Lib Dems don't block this party, and if the Conservatives don't actually prove that they are intelligent rather than fleecing us all with their fake inflation, and Sunak with his obsession with his temperature controlled coffee cup, someone needs to stop Labour, because 40% of the country didn't vote for them and don't condone what they're doing. So it's a sad story. Yet they're going to soldier on. They're going to soldier on the way through it.